All right, everybody, video number 2. So I'm moving along. I'm learning new things, right? I'm trying to figure out the blogging and the design, podcast. I threw up the first podcast the other day, the videos as well. So not bad for an old guy, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. 52 years old in a couple days, so hopefully I'm doing good. If not, I'll just tell myself that I am, right? Boost up my confidence so that I can continue doing these videos. So today we're going to talk about chapter 7, right? And we're going to talk about chapter 7. We're going to scratch the surface, right? We're going to scratch the surface. We're not going to get into the weeds. I do on certain blogs, and I'll get there with time. But today we're just going to scratch the surface because I can't give you everything at once. Today, all I'm going to talk about is the things that you need to know when you're doing chapter 7. Excuse me. I have class later today, and I've been teaching all day, so I'm thirsty. Got to stay hydrated. So with chapter 7, there's a few things you need to know. I'm going to point out the mistake that a lot of people do. But the first thing you need to know is the most common type of bankruptcy, right? I don't know the full numbers, maybe 60%, maybe 35% chapter 13, which is another option you can consider. That's a payment plan for 36 to 60 months. We're going to get into those, dig into those weeds later as well. Um, but today it's just chapter 7 to give you an idea of what it is to focus on. Whether you're a paralegal and you're using my bankruptcy, my textbook in your course, or you're an up and coming lawyer, or maybe neither of the above, right? You're just trying to learn about the bankruptcy process. Well, these blogs are going to help you. The videos are going to help you. It's all going to give you a better understanding of the process. And even if you hire a lawyer, because you're considering about filing for bankruptcy, you're going to learn more and at least have a general idea. So, basically, um, unfortunately, lawyers don't always consult with their clients and explain everything to them. So some clients, have that deer in the headlights look because the lawyer just, yeah, you're done. And sometimes our bedside manners is something to be desired, but, you're going to learn this stuff here, and at least you have something to fall back on. Okay. So the other thing I want you to understand instead of it's a liquidation, right? We call it a liquidation, and that implies that your assets are going to be liquidated, right? But it's not, because the important key to focus on here is exemptions. Exemptions will determine ultimately if any assets are going to be liquidated. So the way we do that, okay, is simple enough. You're going to learn now in 30 seconds, and so start timing. Hold on, here's some water here. You're going to learn in 30 seconds who knows how many cases I had to read in law school to figure this stuff out. All right, so here we go. Exemptions, I like to call them protections. That's all they are. Exemptions will determine what assets of yours are protected. And of course, this varies per state. I could be in Florida, I cross over the line, I go into Georgia. Guess what? All of a sudden, the exemptions change. It's going to change in every state. Keep driving, go to North Carolina, same thing. The exemptions are going to change. So keep that in mind. Now, Florida, when it comes to your car, has a very low amount for exemptions, right? It's $1,000. It's not much. I think Texas is 7,500 maybe. California, considering California and the standard of living, is actually pretty low too. It might be half of that. But you see how the numbers change no matter where you are. It's going to be a different amount. So let's play with this $1,000 number here. Here are the key figures to figure out. The car is only worth $5,000. You take off 1,000, you're done, right? $4,000 is non-exempt. That's what we call the non-exempt portion. And I like to say you have a $4,000 problem because that's what the whole case is going to focus on. Now, what does that mean in reference to your case? Well, simple. Let's pretend there was no issue, right? Let's say you had negative equity. And the question is, how can you have negative equity? Well, very simple. You owe 20, but your car is only worth 15. You have negative equity. What does a trustee do? Nothing. There's nothing they can do with your car. They're not interested in your car. They can't sell it. They can't make any money. Remember, the trustee has one job, and that job is to find money. And so if you have money, for example, in your car, the new one, I did write a blog post about that, is your tax refund. They love going after tax refund. It's easy pickings, easy money. So be careful, because depending on the time of year that you're filing, if you're getting a tax refund, there's a good chance the trustee might take it. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, if you have no equity, we're done. Trustee goes to the next case. They don't care. We're done, right? But What are the other options? Well, you can buy back the equity from the trustee. You can tell the trustee, I want my car, I need my car, I'll buy it back $4,000. There's a catch. You're only going to have 10 to 12 months to get this done. So the question is, can I pay back $400 in the next 10 months, maybe 12 if the trustee is adding a couple months to it? If you can, then again, we're back over here. There's nothing else. You just pay. Trustee gets that money, distributes it to your creditors, and we're done. There's nothing else. If you can't afford it, well, then we're at option number 2 over here, which is file for Chapter 13. I already told you 36 to 60 months. It's not that simple. There's other expenses you're going to have to calculate, trustee fees of 10%. Your lawyer might include the attorney fees in there as well. So that's going to take that'll give you a general idea how much you have to pay, but it's not an exact number. There could be other issues, and you'll find out why in a hurry. The other issue is you can just say, I can't afford it, so I'm going to surrender the asset. I'm going to give it back to you. Now, would that apply in your case? I don't know. It really comes down to your personal situation, money, and finances. I had a client not too long ago, I want to say less than a year ago, who was faced in this situation. The trustee basically said, this is how much your car was worth. It was ridiculous, to be honest with you. There's no other better way to explain that. And the answer is because the trustee says your car's worth X amount. Like my client said, so my car is worth more today after I'm adding like 70,000 miles to it because he bought it used, had a car accident, has mechanical issues, and that car is worth more today than it was when I bought it. That's not possible. You know that, and I know that. But my client said, fine, here are the keys, Mr. Trustee. You can have the car. Why? I forget what the numbers are, but let's go back to that $4,000 magical number in my example. He said, I'd rather get the $400 a month for the $4,000, deposit it under the car. Maybe I can get a cosigner. And he walks out with a brand new car. The trustee can do whatever they want. That car was sold at auction, obviously, and the money was just distributed to the creditors. But my client was, sorry, not interested. I'm not paying it back, and I'm definitely not filing Chapter 13 over this. So you can have it. So keep that in mind. It may be worth financially just turning the car. What if the car's got mechanical problems? What if the car, you got 3 years left of payments on it and you don't want to pay for the next 3 years on a car with mechanical problems? Well, simple enough. Turn it in, let the trustee deal with it. Let it become their problem, not yours. Now, when you're looking at bankruptcy, understand that that's the first step we have to look at. You have to ask yourself, what is protected? Is my home protected? Is my car protected? My tax refund? Again, it changes per state, so you got to do your research or confirm with your lawyer. But here is where most people go. Most people read this and they say, oh, I'm done. I did some research online. I qualify for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. It's not that simple, and I'll tell you why. The means test, all that is the court and the trustee, you have to fill it out in the forms and all that, is going to say or ask, how much did you make in the last 6 months? Now, I'm going to make up this number because it varies, again, per state. It varies if you have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, married, single, other dependents, etc. So the numbers could change. Now, let's suppose the magical number is 45. I'm completely making it up. Most people say, okay, well, I did the means test. I make 35,000. I'm done. I qualify for Chapter 7. And then they make the mistake of filing for bankruptcy. Let's just pretend there's no exemptions issues, right? Let's just pretend the car has a minimal value or it's negative equity, and so they know the trustee is not going to take care of it. But then they come here, and like I said, well, I'm underneath the magical median number, the average for the state. I'm good. No, because this is where people get into trouble. How is it possible you're going to have disposable income if you're filing for bankruptcy? Kind of doesn't make sense, but it makes all the sense in the world, and there's 2 reasons why. One could be you simply just cut back on your expenses, right? For example, turning in your car. There's a blog post on that. I think I posted maybe 2 or 3 days ago. If you turn in your car, you don't have a car payment, you have more disposable income available. Or what if you decide, I'm going to move into my parents' home or friend's home, rent out a room versus a whole house. Maybe you're getting divorced or separated. Again, the numbers change. So now you have disposable income available. But even more so, your credit cards. Let's say you were paying $500 a month on your credit cards. when you do Schedule I, which is Schedule I is the income portion, one because there's two parts of income when it comes to the bankruptcy petition, and Schedule J is the expenses. When you compare the two, if you're adding your credit card payments to this scenario, you say I have no money left over. You're not including your credit card payments when you're calculating your expenses. That gets excluded. So if you were paying $500 a month and you're not paying now, you're going to have $500 left a month. And so trust me, with $500 left a month, you can forget chapter 7. You're now in chapter 13 territory, and you're probably going to have to pay close to the $500 a month for the next 3 to 5 years. You see, this is the key right here that most people, they skip that part. They don't realize it. They look at the bankruptcy forms. It doesn't even explain that. But again, tricks of the trade, tools of the trade. I've been doing this for 24 years now, so I know all the ins and outs of bankruptcy. And that's one of the key issues you have to focus on. Is there disposable income? And again, there could be anything that causes disposable income. Could be that, again, you traded in your car or just get a cheaper place to live in, and then all of a sudden you qualified yesterday for Chapter 7, but you don't qualify today. So be careful, all right? Now, if you got any questions, of course, about that, you know how to reach me at alex@bankruptcy.blog. You know the website, right? The website couldn't be any simpler to keep in mind. Bankruptcy.blog. Hit me up if you got any questions, and I'll explain to you the exemptions or any other issues you have, and I'll put it in the reader's questions forum, where basically I'll post it there, and then you can see that information. Okay, so keep in mind when you're considering about bankruptcy, we got to worry about these three things right here. We got to worry about exemptions, means testing. We all know about the means testing. You every time you look something up online, you're going to find out the means testing. But this one is key right here. No one ever talks about disposable income. And so there is disposable income. How much disposable income? I always tell clients, once you start getting over $100, we start having problems. If you're less than 100, chances are you're cool. But even then, think about it. You might say, I don't have 100. I have $20 left over when I've done the math. Well, this will be a separate post, but are you including your IRA deductions or 401k deductions from your pay stubs? Some districts won't allow that. Now, where I'm from originally in Miami, it wasn't an issue, and I've actually gone pretty high with the deductions on the 401k. But other areas I've read, research says no, they wouldn't allow it. So keep that in mind. You've got to go over these issues in details. And sometimes remember, same way the laws change on exemptions from one state to another, it changes. The law doesn't change, but how they do something in District A versus District B is going to change too. So I can tell you that how they do things in the Southern District of Florida is not going to be the same way that they do things in the Middle District or in the Northern District. So keep that in mind. Okay. So again, you need to reach me. You know how to reach me. Tomorrow, I'm gonna hopefully tomorrow, not the next day, but the blog's already out. I'm gonna teach you how G Herbo, who's a rapper, didn't hear about him honestly till all this came about. But his case, he didn't file for bankruptcy. But I'm gonna tell you what his case, how it could affect your case, and that's how I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to get you all this information that's out there and apply it in practical terms. For example, the blog post tomorrow. Look it up tomorrow, February 22nd. And you ready for this? Rudy Giuliani, who's a former mayor of New York, as we all know, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now, what does Chapter 11 have to do with Rudy Giuliani, golf, and bankruptcy? You're going to know tomorrow. And this is how you're going to learn all this information. I've always said, don't look just at the book for the answer. Go outside of that. And so if you go outside of that, when it comes to all this information, like stuff that's in the news and I like to talk about, and apply it to your course, you're going to see how you're going to learn a lot more, whether you're a paralegal, lawyer, or you're just considering filing for bankruptcy. All right. So any questions, hit me up. Have a good day, good rest of your day. Be safe. Weekend's almost here. So have a good weekend as well until the next video that I post. Take care, everybody.